Welcome back to Bubba's Custom Cars. My name's Craig. We're building an indoor paint booth because it's 50 degrees out there and it isn't getting any warmer, so we got to get this firewall done. And I know y'all been waiting for me to get moving on the Nova project, so this is the start of our paint booth. At least our temporary paint booth, so that we can shoot this firewall. So anyway, the temperature, I did buy this big giant box that I'm going to show you guys someday when I get a chance when it's warm. It's basically a Temu 28 by, I think it's 12 or 14 foot wide paint booth, portable paint booth to paint the car. I was going to use it, but the temperature here in Utah went from great weather, well, I shouldn't say great, it was hot, 85, 90 degrees, down to about 50, and then we've got some fluctuations with 70 degrees in there, but as anybody knows who paints, you can't paint in this. Now what is cool is I am using the Duplicolor paint shop. I shot some of the car with that paint shop, and it is really easy to spray. For those who have never used paint before, or have used paint before, it's a lacquer. Has a lot of the characteristics of the 60s and 70s lacquers that I grew up with painting, but it is a two-stage paint job. So you've got the base coat, clear coat, but again, it's lacquer. So in order to spray the car, I can do it in here. I sprayed the bumpers and a few other things in my garage in Albuquerque, and it wasn't even heated. This particular one is heated. I've got a big 220 watt or 220 volt heater up there, and I've got a little 110 back here to keep this at about 70 to 73 degrees. I figure the ideal temperature is going to be about 73 degrees. As you know, I put in the air thing at the end here with the pull hose so that I can shoot from here. I've got a 100-foot hose, and that's going to be more for the paint booth. But what we're doing here is I ran and put in a bunch of, I guess, the little 4-inch wide strips that I had left over from building my fence, and I put them along the top here so that I could staple into them and hang tarp so that I don't get the rest of my garage blue, I guess you'd say. So the way that I'm doing it is, like I said, I'm just stapling it up here. All we're doing in here is small parts. The firewall is going to be the biggest thing. I would like to do the jambs and everything else, but in order to do that, I've got to segregate this off from the rest of the garage and keep things from getting messed up. I've got 4 big tarps that I got at Harbor Freight, relatively cheap. These blue ones there's no real price on them. I've got some tarp to lay down on the ground to keep the paint from hitting the floor. It's already going to be pretty much, covered, and this floor is a coated floor, so I'm not really worried about that, but it's good to have that extra protection. Once I've got the whole booth built, I'm going to spin the car a little bit sideways so that I've got all this space here to work on the firewall. I've got my paint right on the other side of this wall, like basically my mixing area that I will bring in here with that little portable table that we built. So everything that's been done here has been done purpose-built. I did not expect to find this paint booth, but I got a lead, so you got to follow it up. I'm going to show you guys when I do open up this paint booth that when it originally started, I found a paint booth at the auction that was 28 by 10 or 12 or whatever it is. And so I was bidding on it, and I bid $350 on it, which, as anybody knows, for these portable paint booths is a good price. They run upwards of $800 or $900. Turns out, as you'll see in the video, it ended up being like a 12 by 8. It was a tiny little thing. I couldn't even paint car parts in it. It was so small. So, needless to say, that put me back on my quest again. Well, Temu, here we go. Temu had this one for $446. It's a 2-blower unit. It's 28 foot by 10, and it's got a separate mixing room and everything. So it's everything that I need to paint the body of the car and paint anything else, because it's basically 24 feet inside. The other 4 feet is the what they call the transition room or the painting room. Like you mix your paint and everything in that separate room, get dressed, and then go into the paint booth itself through a door, the zipper type door. So it is going to be nice to have, but I've got to get this engine done, and I've been procrastinating on it for a year now, mainly because of weight and health and some other things. For those who don't know, a couple of years ago I weighed over 300 pounds. Now I'm pushing 199. I'm at 204 pounds right now, and I'm trying to just get under 200, which is my goal. But now that I've lost all the weight, I've got more energy. But what happens, and all y'all know who are my group, as you age, things hurt anyway. So this has been kind of a back and forth thing with me, with health issues and everything else. So I've gotten to the point now where I don't care anymore if it hurts. I've got to get this done. I've got to get this firewall painted. I've got to get this motor in and get it done. So this is how we're doing it. We're going to use these tarps. These are, this is a 24-foot wide by, I believe, 17 deep or tall. Yeah, I think it's 7. Hold on, let me double check. It is 11 feet tall. Now we know that this garage is not 11 feet, so we've got a lot extra down at the bottom, and we'll figure out what to do that. Maybe we'll curl it in and then lay the tarp down, and that'll give me a nice place for the paint to fall. This particular door over here, we are going to run tarps along the edges, and as you'll see, I'll show you how I'm doing it. But we're going to use that door over there for ventilation because there are no vehicles out there or anything of that nature. We have to seal off. There is a furnace in the garage, that heat and AC unit that heats both the garage and the 1,000 square foot family room upstairs. We have to close that off completely because anytime I've ever done anything down here, painting apart or whatever, you could smell it in the whole house because it filters its way through the heat and AC. So we were going to seal off that room. I've got a plastic tarp to go over that, and we'll just seal it with tape. I've got a couple rolls of tape over here. We'll seal that off so that we keep that from getting that residual paint spray, especially when we're shooting with guns. I've also gone out and bought some paint guns from Temu. Again, one's cheap, real cheap. That's going to be my primer gun, and then I've got 2 other guns. One's a real expensive gun that I bought a few years back. That's going to be my base coat gun, and then I've got another halfway decent one that's going to be my clear coat gun. They all use a 1.4 nozzle, so that makes it easy. I could use any of them for anything. But that's what we're doing, so I just need to figured I'd better turn on the video so you guys can see what I'm doing while I'm doing it. And I'll put most of this into a time lapse so you don't have to sit here and go, okay, well, this is real boring. So anyway, let's get to it. One of the things I did get were my sponsors. Gotta love them to death. And it's through a third party. It's not through them direct, but I've got this stapler nailer. This thing is cool because it's powered by a battery, so I can just shoot the staples in. So let me get this end finished up, and that way I can start moving towards the sides. I did have to go buy some shorter staples. The ones that I had are like monsters, and I don't need anything that big. For now. This end over here is where I'm going to have it ends here, and that'll be the other way, and I'll carry over a little bit this way. That way I can park the door, because this is where I can get to my paint. I can also walk behind it. There's plenty of room. So I've both figured it out. Hi, baby. Here you go. Where's your brother? got a specialty thing. We're going to see if it works. And these little clips that ride on rope. And they clamp down through the tarp and hang on the rope. So we'll see how well these work. We'll grab a couple of these to start. Worst case, we just go with the clamps. All right, as you can see, we've got our tarp up on that half of the garage. Changed it up a little bit because I wanted to be able to open my garage door. And I have so much to paint during the winter that I need to be able to get to everything. So we've got tarp, as you can see, all along the back wall, or along the south wall. Nothing on the garage door, but you'll notice the rails are clear, so we can open and close the garage door. And then we've got it running all the way down that side. This side we've got the connectors. This is kind of the paint area, so this will be closed off with ties. I've got that end open right now because tomorrow we're getting lighting put in and they're using that power over there. But the other tarp will just hook to the top there. But this is my winter paint booth, so we will be able to get this car, because I was thinking about it. Give me 1 second to put the camera in place. But not only do we have the firewall to paint, but we've also got the door jambs, the insides of the fenders, the inside of the hood. Basically, we've got everything to paint. The way that I was going to do it before, I was going to hang it on the garage door rails, but then I'm thinking about it's Monday. It's not Jellyfish Lighting, but it's a company like that, and I'll get you some time lapse of that. They're supposed to be here tomorrow, and they've got to have access to the interior of the garage because where my 60 amp or 50 amp line runs, I've got a 110 outlet over there that they're going to be using to pull power from. So that has to be in place. And then I was thinking about it, not only do I have to paint that firewall, but I also have to paint a whole bunch of other parts, the door jambs, the interior of the trunk, all that kind of fun stuff. So it's best that I make this a little more permanent, temporary permanent. We're not painting the outside of the car in here. We do have a portable paint booth, and we'll hopefully unbox that someday when we get a little closer. For the floor and for the car itself, I went out and bought a bunch of rolls of the plastic sheeting to put down on the floor and also use for the interior of the car. I've also got the tape machine here that we're going to use also for that. The only other thing I've got to do is I've got to tape off the furnace room, completely seal this off from everything, because like I was saying, anytime you paint anything in this, it could even be with a spray can, that just draws the air into it. So we're going to seal that off, and we're going to build a functioning filter system at the doorway. That'll give us a full-size door for our ventilation to bring in air and take out the paint smell, along with a few filters on that. So that'll definitely help us in the long run too. But this is my portable paint booth for the winter. This will allow me to get to work on this Nova, get that firewall painted, and get this motor in it. Right now I'm on hold on the motor and trans. I'm looking for a 4L65E, which is the higher performance, a little bit higher performance version of the 4L60. And I'm going to swap my 700R4 for it because people evidently really want that 700R4 real bad. And I want the more modern 4L65E to go with the fuel injection and everything I'm doing with this car. Try to bring it a little bit more modern, make it a little bit more streetable. I know the 700R4 is the same basic design without the electronics, but I want a modern transmission. I wanted to go with a 6, but forget about that. The 6Ls are insanely priced, and it's just a big problem. So we're just going to look for that 4L65E or swap our 700 for it, mainly because same size drive shaft, everything exactly the same as the 700R4. We've already got our drive shaft cut, so we're going to do that. But this kind of gives me the booth that I need during the winter so I can paint all the small stuff, I guess you'd call it. Everything that I need to get done in here during the summer. I've got enough heat in here to bring this whole space up right now. Like right now, I think it's, let's take a look, see, shall we? And see what the temperature is. But if we come over to our temperature gauge, right now we're sitting at 72 degrees. So it's 72 degrees in here, which is perfect for painting. Definitely for painting. So with that, that's my paint booth setup for the winter. I'll be able to get a lot of stuff done here now, especially with the car on wheels. I put the car on those dolly wheels, the little rolly round wheels. Oh my God, I should have gotten those years ago. Those things are so nice because I can just shove the car around wherever I want it. And what's nice is I'll be able to move it around to like do jams and that kind of stuff. Center it in the middle of the garage to do the jams, you know, move things around. But that'll definitely help, and this will definitely get me going for the winter and get me painted because Lord knows we need to get this done. So with that, make sure you like, share, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.